In 2011, St. Mary's launched a campaign to be better in 1,000 ways. Our goal was, through the use of lean management methodologies, to empower our staff, physicians, and volunteers to suggest and implement new ideas that will add value for our patients, enhance their experience, and reduce waste. These are their stories.
Well, we had some tears in our disposable wraps that we use for wrapping our basins. When we were pulling it off the shelves to place it on the case cards, sometimes it would hit a sharp edge and it may cause a tear. It would cause it to be non-sterile, and so therefore would have to be reprocessed and sterilized. If it was used in a surgery, that could cause infection, or if it's noticed beforehand, which hopefully it is, then it causes a delay or cancellation of that surgery. We used plastic transporting trays, so we would place them on the shelves, the storage shelves, and then pick up the tray with the item and place it on the case cart. We were hoping for a 25% decrease in non-sterile items, but what happened is it's almost eliminated itself.
Well, a lot of times we'd have a lot of patients that either weren't informed by their physician that they had the appointment, or they had forgotten the appointment. If it was booked, months in advance, they had forgotten, they've missed it on their calendar. So a lot of times patients were not showing up, or they would show up and were not prepped properly for their appointment. The idea is to place reminder calls to patients prior to their appointment so that they're reminded of their appointment, they show up and they're prepared properly when they get here.
Well, a lot of our tests, there are definitely a lot of preparations. So during the reminder call, they would remind them of the prep that they needed to have done, which then prevented them from having to show up. Then us saying, so did you do this, did you do this? And they say no, and then we have to rebook them.
I think it puts the patients at ease even before they get to the hospital. They're nervous about their tests, they're nervous about parking, they're nervous about finding the departments. If we can answer a lot of those questions ahead of time, I think it makes their experience a lot better for them.
If you miss an appointment, who's to say when the next one's going to be? So just by giving this quick reminder, hey, don't forget us, then you're in, you're getting it done, and then the boat just goes smoothly after that.
Basically, one of the main complaints was the porters would come up to the floor. A lot of times they were coming up with a stretcher, and then they'd find out, oh, this patient only needs a wheelchair, or vice versa. And it was just causing, obviously, a lot of delays in getting them down for their tests at a certain time. They were having to leave, come back up, things, just all transportation issues. That was the big deal. On our whiteboard with each patient when they're admitted, we determine whether they're a 2-assist, a 1-assist, or an independent patient. To see, okay, they're yellow, they're 1-assist, they'd be able to get into a wheelchair, they're black, they need a stretcher. So instead of chasing us around all over to find out how a patient transfers, they were able to just use the board as well. We had come up with it originally for our nurses for their workload. And then the clerks found they were using it a lot then because they could just look back at the board when they were booking, and it just helps to keep the flow of the floor, not only for us, for the patients.
We decided as a team that we wanted to involve the patients as part of the huddle. So the way our program works is the patient comes regularly twice a week. So a perfect opportunity to have the same patient attending on a regular basis. And then address certain areas. Did they feel their needs were being met? Did they enjoy? Were they provided with enough information? And then kind of yes or no answers, and then ask them for any additional feedback. It's made us more aware that we think one thing and often it might be another, and not everybody is the same. So it gives us a good snapshot as to what the people coming through the program feel is important to them.
We had issues with things coming down on patient trays that weren't dietary, that posed harm to us. And that kind of thing doesn't work for our department because we're so time sensitive. I don't really think that the people on the floor realized what they were sending down. And when we tracked it, and you can let them know what is coming down shouldn't be on the tray, they take more time to sort through it and to leave non-dietary items back on the floor. It's actually getting better, which is a good thing. You know, the sharps aren't coming down as frequently. The personal items as well, like watches and teeth and hearing aids. Our department takes great pride in the presentation, you know, sanitary of course, but in the presentation. And I really think that some patients, each meal is important to them. That's what they have to look forward to. So I think we do make a difference.
When we register patients for echoes, stress tests, Holter's loops, female patients and male patients we were bringing back to our little waiting room back here. And some of the female patients were feeling uncomfortable about being in a gown with male patients.
Actually, several patients, as a technologist, would sometimes come in prior to the test and just, you know, make a small comment or kind of holding their gown. And as a female myself, I can obviously understand where they're coming from. And we thought, why not keep the females here in the back as they were originally? And they have their own bathroom and private change room and some magazines, and they can feel at ease. And then the males, what we did is, since they don't have to wear the gowns in regular clothing, we just kept them in the front.
I think it's improved it a lot. Patients are a lot happier, female patients anyway, are a lot happier having a change room to themselves and not feeling so uncomfortable with the male patients around.
They're much more, you know, a little bit more happier, outgoing, much more comfortable, as opposed to before sometimes. And this really does improve the quality of the tests that we're having.
We were wasting detergents. There was about 10% of all the detergents we were getting in our department were slated for wastage, plus disposal fees. We were not supposed to decant from older into newer by CSA standards. And we approached our supplier for further information, and upon further investigation we realized that there's a stabilizing agent in the detergents that allows us to decant. We refuse to purchase chemical like that and dispose of it for no reason. We're taxpayers and it saves taxpayers money.
Visitors would come in to find their family members after they've had their surgery, and we'd tell them they're not done yet, they should be up soon, and you'd have to tell them you'll have to just kind of hang out at the end of the hall or stand in the hall and wait. And there's already a lot of congestion in the hallway.
It was one of the issues brought up at our daily huddle rounds, that we've wanted a lounge for a long time, and then we got the go-ahead from management to change this patient room into a lounge. We have patients that have been in hospital even over a year, and rather than just being stuck in that little room at the bedside, family can come in here, they could bring a coffee up or donuts up or whatever.
It feels so much better to say, there's a waiting room right there, just have a seat and we'll call you when your family member arrives from surgery.
One of our pastoral care providers, Dale Nickel, on Tuesdays has a Music for the Soul program and brings a guitar in and sings with Dee, our clerk, and that's been very well received by patients and family.
As many patients as we can get in this room, we either bring in this room in their wheelchair or they walk down. And they sing some older hymns that a lot of the patients would know. And I've seen some smiles on some long-term care patients that I hadn't seen before.